fires and strong winds tearing through Southern California. 10 News on the watch for you. On air and online the moment it started.
I won't be able to get home tonight.
The last station to sign off, keeping you informed into the night. The largest team on scene giving you critical information to make life-saving decisions.
Looks like hell on earth.
Plus, only 10 News is weather rate certified as San Diego's most accurate team, keeping you ahead of the changes morning to night. On air, online, on social media. Turn to 10 News. Stories that matter.
This is the whole area that is burning. This is the San Luis River Valley. This is as close as we're going to get for safety reasons. There are crews up and down 76 trying to put out the fire. This is, of course, part of the fire that started way back there at the 15 and the 76. But if you take a look across the highway, Highway 76, it's already jumped the freeway, and it is now encroaching and threatening this entire shopping center. I believe this is a theater area right here, movie theater. There are crews back here trying their best to put it out, but a whole lot of embers getting kicked up everywhere here, and it's looking pretty hairy, and it's just going to keep getting blown west because of this wind.
And we do have an update on our interactive fire map that you can find at 10news.com. Let me show you exactly what that looks like. And you're seeing the overview of San Diego County right now, and you can utilize this and go on it and actually make the same movements that I am. And right now our update is on this burn area.
We moved to another area of the Rancho Montserrat mobile home community where we've got homes actively on fire right now. We just saw this one a few minutes ago. The roof collapsed in. You can see those bright orange flames that have taken over this entire home. It is fully engulfed. There is not going to be much of anything left in there. And then look at this entire community. This is just complete devastation.
On our 10news.com page, of course, you can find this is on our main page right here. And as you scroll down the article, a list of evacuation centers, and those are listed right here. We're going to continue to update those throughout the morning as things change and evolve. Jason, Virginia, it's a good resource, especially with the maps showing all the different areas that are evacuated right now and then where you can go if you're one of those evacuees.
With this tractor, and
horses.
Now there are horses on the run in the middle of the smoke with a helicopter above it, hopefully about to make a drop. We're not sure exactly where this helicopter is in that process. What a scene that was with all of those horses. And of course, they're trying to clear out that area for them. They've not gotten those horses out, and a guy tilling the area, and we are just watching them in the smoke just run
Guys in the
their
booth,
area.
if you can give us an idea of where this camera is located. Again, we do know that San Luis Training Center is in that area, and this is such a fantastic scene. One helicopter, now a second one that's coming in. That may be a spotter, but no, that actually is a water dropping helicopter. But there are a lot of stables, and as Jenny's been mentioning, this is an agricultural area. There's avocado groves in there. There's the wedding venue. There's the tons and tons of stables. But as you can see, they're using that dozer there to try and kick up some of the dirt and create maybe a fire line. But that is just such an amazing shot right there with those horses and that thick black smoke just behind them. You know they just have to be petrified.
It's a surreal scene.
I want to direct you to a feature that we actually have on 10news.com. If you go there and just type in before and after, this is what that mobile home park looked like just a little more than 24 hours ago. And if you go ahead and slide that over, you can see this is when we were still seeing some of those mobile homes on fire.
This is what I'm talking about. Embers flew about a quarter to half mile away over to this hillside and immediately turned it into that lava effect that Steve referred to. It looked like lava, and now it's moving down closer towards Olive Hill Road here. That's where I'm at. I'm just north of the 76 on Olive Hill Road, and this entire hillside keeps flaring up behind us. Now look to your right, my left up this hill. Adam Hilberry and the crew with Travis Rice were up this hill. They just booked it out of here because you can see all down this hill. It's orange, nothing but orange, flames going up this hillside.
When disaster struck, more San Diegans turned to 10 News than any other source.
We've actually been watching Channel 10 because it seems like that's where we're getting most of the news.
Keeping you informed is our job, but we're also part of this community.
Volunteers pouring in all morning.
San Diego comes together in good times and in bad.
I just saw on the news that they needed help.
And throughout it all, 10 News is with you.
10 News people are here volunteering today.
Emergency food relief for families that have evacuated.
Experience the difference every day. 10 News, stories that matter.
They were celebrating a birthday. Now they're the faces of another mass shooting.
I need to figure out what's going on with the rest of my friends.
And the mystery behind this monster in a lawn chair taking an even darker turn as we find out he forced his ex-girlfriend to listen to the deadly gunshots.
It is a story that has gained national attention, and hour by hour we're getting new details about what happened in that University City pool.
Now, we have actually gotten some new video into our 10 newsroom. I want you to take a look at that. It gives us a closer look at that shooter, Peter Sellis, and exactly what he looked like yesterday as that shooting was happening.
At 6:13, the first officers arrive on the ground and in the air. Able helicopter spots the suspect.
He's aiming to the north. He is, I don't know who he's shooting at this point.
Officers describe the scene in graphic detail over the radio. Gunman Peter Sellis was sitting in a lounge chair firing.
He's shooting over towards these people right now. He's shooting at somebody on the phone.
The police chief says Sellis was on the phone himself, talking to his ex-girlfriend. He apparently wanted her to hear the shots.
It sounds like an active shooter.
Police Chief Zimmerman says officers in the helicopter guided officers on the ground.
Okay, he's going to be up over that wall on the far side of the pool from you.
Police say officers located the shooter. He fired at them. They fired back, killing him. With the shooter down, the call for extra cops is canceled, and the call goes out instead for more ambulances.
Any other officers coming can disregard or drop code. All we need is medics coming in here.
And we talked to a woman whose cousin is one of 4 people inside that hospital right now. And I have to tell you, as people come and go, they can't help but collapse in each other's arms.
We're all sitting at the pool. It's our friend's birthday party.
Haley Thames says the killer sat down and cracked open a beer.
You just hear a pop.
Then one after another as the pool party gave way to a bloodbath. Some dropped to the ground as others started to scatter. But Thames turned around and saw her cousin had taken a bullet to each leg.
I had to go get her because she was still in the pool. And I just look over and he's reloading another clip.
She says amid the chaos and carnage, he kept calm. Instead of running to save themselves, Thames and her friend scrambled to save the women he shot.
That's when we just started putting them on our backs and we're just running them out.
They carried them to safety and flagged down a security guard. They say he emptied his car and got 3 victims to first responders. Thomas Blea was one of them.
And when I get the chance to see him, I'm going to give him thanks in person. But that guy saved us a lot of time.
They're calling the security guard a hero. Meanwhile, Thames ran back, hoping to help more people.
They were still on the ground, and now one of our friends hurt.
And at times, it's almost too much for her heart to handle.
Sudden panic and chaos in the aftermath at Chicano Park. Cell phone video on the ground shows the terrifying scene as rescuers work frantically to save people.
I've experienced some accidents in my life, but nothing like this. Nothing so close and nothing so just gruesome, you know.
Andy Mendez, one of what may have been thousands of witnesses who in this huge crowd watched it unfold. Like so many others, he's emotional. Mendez describing what was a sunny Saturday afternoon, listening to music.
Just happy. Just going on with the day.
Interrupted abruptly when that truck careened off the Coronado Bridge onto a tent below. A vendor, people inside selling T-shirts and other things, the same friendly strangers who Mendez says he had been chatting up all day, sitting in a lawn chair right next to them.
There are some people that lost their lives here. I could have probably been right there with them.
Breaking overnight, officers doing everything they can to wake up a suspected drunk driver on the 805.
You can see them rocking the car. They were banging on the windows. They even put down spike strips in case the car started rolling. 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala live in Mountain View. Mimi, that was a very dangerous situation.
It really was. That man is so lucky no one was hurt, and he wasn't hurt. This is at the 805 and Imperial off-ramp where he was passed out behind the wheel right there waiting for that light to turn green when he fell asleep. Officers say the call came in around 3. They got here at 3:05, started banging on his windows, trying his door handles, anything they could to try to wake him up.
Wake up, sir.
Only our 10 News breaking news tracker was here as officers threw down those spike strips in front of the tires in case that driver were to suddenly take his foot off the brake and start driving off. But he was passed out in such a deep sleep, officers had to bang on the windows and shake the car over and over again. Then they tried yelling.
Park! Put the car in park!
10 News this morning continues right now with breaking news. A fire tearing through a home in Mission Hills, burning for at least an hour now.
The neighbors, they huddled in the street and watched the roof cave in. 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala there live. So, Mimi, what have you figured out in the last half hour?
Yeah, guys, well, firefighters are still working non-stop to put this fire out. You can see that there's still some flames burning right up there.
Let me explain what happened. A driver says it started when a man ran out in front of his car on the ramp. He swerved to miss the man, but was then hit by the black truck you see with the back taillight flashing. Boom! Right there. This was the one car that didn't avoid the truck. They were going door to door looking for his parents, hoping that the little boy might be able to leave them. Good Samaritan spotted the little boy on Meade Avenue, called 911. Police again continued to go through the neighborhood, hoping that maybe the little boy would recognize his home, but they had no luck there. Only on 10 News, this is what happened next.
He's not coming up. You do what you're told. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Yeah, he's caught on one of the spikes of the fence. Police eventually got him off, but they tore his jeans in the process to get him down.
This really was a nightmare accident out here around 2:30 this afternoon. This 18-wheeler behind me here was heading on the 125 south from the 8. It crashed through the center divide, all through that twisted metal you see there, across the 125 north, through this concrete barrier and onto the transition ramp that's heading up to the 8 east. That 18-wheeler then collided with this green car you see right here. CHP tells me 2 people died in that car. There were 2 people inside the cab. They only have minor injuries. Now, over here to your left, there's this gray SUV. CHP says there were 4 people inside this vehicle. One of them, a young child about 6 years old, is we're told is seriously injured. There was another young girl that we saw a Heartland firefighter holding after the accident. He held on to her quite gingerly until the ambulance arrived. They took the little girl to the hospital.
As a journalist, there are some stories that impact you more than others.
I was feeling like I deserved the pain.
Bullying is one issue that really concerns me, especially becoming a new parent.
It feels like something sharp going to your heart.
As Team 10 investigators, we're not afraid to stand up to bullying, helping you understand it and talking to your kids about it.
Make it less hurtful.
Be part of the conversation. All this week on 10 News at 6. Stories that matter.
My name's Matthew York. I am 14.
Matt says the bullying began in 3rd grade.
I seemed to kind of be a target, which I don't really know why.
He tells me it started with words, finger pointing, laughing. By the time he hit 5th grade, things got physical. Matt says he was shoved out of a chair.
You fall, you hit the floor, and I just kind of looked up, and they were laughing.
A year later, the summer before his transition, the transgender teen says the anxiety and depression became too much.
I was hurting myself, and...
What do you mean?
Cutting.
Cutting became Matt's outlet.
A lot of people were, you know, they make fun of you. They want you to hurt. So I figured this is what they want, so I obviously deserve it in some way or another.
This tiger cub, discovered being smuggled across our border, the cute face of a dark business with high demand for illegal animals as pets.
They're bred for nothing more than profit.
10 News taking you inside the billion-dollar black market. Tonight at 11 on 10 News.
Who
Who could resist that face? Imagine the shock for customs officers when they found this little guy during inspection at the Otay border crossing.
There it was right there on the floor of the car, a tiger cub.
Here at the Otay Mesa border, between the foot traffic that you see behind me here and the vehicles, this is the biggest international crossing in the United States. In fact, more people come through Otay Mesa and San Ysidro than JFK and LAX combined, and you wouldn't believe some of the stuff they try to bring in.
We see a lot of unusual things.
Birds, reptiles, all kinds of animal products are confiscated daily.
It's sad. I mean, we're talking about a living thing here, and we all care about that. And then the people are smuggling them in, obviously for profit.
The little tiger cub was bought in Mexico for just $300. He's worth about $1,500 here in the United States.
Not surprised at all.
Bobby Brink with Lions, Tigers, and Bears Animal Rescue in Alpine is very familiar with the problem of animal smuggling. She says this is not an isolated incident and is perpetuated by tourist traps.
They're bred for nothing more than profit, and they pull the babies from the mom before they're even 8 to 10 days old, before their eyes are open.
Brink is talking about tourist photo ops with tiger cubs in places like the Havana Banana south of Ensenada.
Beautiful, beautiful.
For a fee between $35 and $60 that supposedly goes to big cat conservation efforts, tourists can enter a cage full of cute little tiger cubs to pet and take photos. We were there on a day when one of the cruise ships was in port, and it was packed.
It's really sad because they lie to the public and they tell you it's conservation or they're a sanctuary or they're rescuing these animals. They're not rescuing babies.
A girl denied a school trip to Disney because she's in a wheelchair.
No, you're not going. There's no ramp for the bus.
And she says it's not the first time.
I felt upset, very upset, but kept it in.
How her story could impact thousands of other students. Tonight at 6 on 10 News.
This is the only thing
going down, Mama,
that makes 14-year-old Madison Willanic's ride to school different from anyone else's.
Bye, Madison.
Bye.
Madison's very easygoing. She's always been really pleasant. It's never been like she's high maintenance or, has to be sequestered and bundled and all kinds of behavioral outbursts or anything. She's very good.
Madison does have a one-on-one aide who does everything from picking up dropped pencils to helping with assignments.
I want her to have as much of a regular experience that all the other kids get.
One morning in February, it was anything but regular. Madison's stepmom met the bus to tell the driver she'd be late to school because of a doctor's appointment.
And he said, why, she's not going to Disneyland? And we didn't know anything about the trip. Like, what trip to Disneyland? No permission slip. Never heard about it, nothing. So.
Don't be fooled by the constant smile on Jean Willanic's face. Madison's dad was furious.
I guess that's my coping mechanism. That or break something.
Willanek called the vice principal of Hilltop Middle School.
He just said, very matter of fact, well, there's 100 students going, so we couldn't get the lift for the bus, so that's why Madison's not going.
Madison had never mentioned the trip or the one she says happened a year earlier. She didn't get a permission slip for that one either. When her dad asked about it, what she told him next made his blood boil.
So I'm handing out the permission slips, and I asked Coach, hey, Coach, why is mine not in there?
And the principal asked me to have Madison write a statement of events, what happened in her own words.
And he told me why I was not going on the trip because the bus has no lift.
Even after the Chargers said goodbye,
Get him out of here!
10 News uncovers an expensive Qualcomm Stadium upgrade still in play.
$600,000 is a big chunk of change. I mean, that could pay for quite a few things.
When 10 News asked about the $500,000 plus investment, the mayor canceled the project.
We've got to make sure we're spending our money in the right ways.
Looking out for your tax dollars, getting results.
Thanks, Jonathan.
10 News, stories that matter.
In fact, the venue's days appear to be numbered, but the city was still about to embark on a more than $500,000 upgrade to the stadium. That's until I brought it to the mayor's attention.
You have to look at it and see if it makes sense, to see if it makes sense for taxpayers.
That's what Mayor Kevin Faulconer told me when I questioned him about a plan to spend nearly $600,000 to install fiber optic cables to enhance Qualcomm Stadium's high-definition programming output. A city spokesman confirmed this week that the project would start within 2 months, even with the Chargers officially gone and public officials discussing tearing down the stadium.
Opportunity for a river park, opportunity for the university to be involved, both Aztec football, potentially MLS, a lot of great ideas right now.
The mayor left the interview saying he'd look into the project. He didn't have to for long. About 10 minutes later, his spokesman asked me to come back to City Hall for another interview because the mayor is halting the installation.
That's not a good use of dollars to move forward with, particularly as we're planning on the future of Qualcomm and the entire site.
Hundreds of animals displaced after Hurricane Harvey. Only 10 News' Joe Little travels 1,500 miles with dozens of cats and dogs from Houston to San Diego.
Great stories here.
In search of a new home. Stay with 10 News all day. Stories that matter.
It's the end of a crazy day, but the beginning of a better life. It has to be good when an airline captain carries you off your first flight.
How many more do we have up there?
64 cats and dogs, including these tiny kittens, are looking for a home so far from home. Their journey began before the sun came up in Houston, Texas.
Snap, Crackle, and Pop, and Lucy Lou.
Those 4 kittens joined 33 cats.
Cats! Cats! More cats!
And 27 tired dogs for a chance to find a forever home for themselves and someone else.
They're getting a chance, and they're getting a home, and they're gonna have lots of love.
Robin McNeil fostered Snap, Crackle, Pop, and Lucy Lou. But she's sending them off to San Diego with a smile.
Because every time I say goodbye, I know I can take more in.
Texas needs more room. There's no room in animal shelters.
Come on, babies.
And there aren't enough foster families like Robin to take care of these guys and the hundreds now left homeless by Hurricane Harvey.
And we got a couple more ready to load up.
That's why San Diego's Helen Woodward Animal Center started work on the logistical nightmare of taking these shelter and foster animals to San Diego to make room for Houston's pets and hopefully some happy reunions.
Without that, they might not have a place to go.
Oh.
SeaWorld San Antonio donated 5 vans and 12 employees.
We want to help animals, no matter if it's the ones in the oceans or the ones that are on land.
I've never seen anything like it in my entire life.
You got it? They drove all 64 pets 3 hours to Austin, Texas,
10.
where TSA weighed every animal and cleared them for a private flight donated by Southwest Airlines.
It feels good to be able to do this.
Pets don't always outnumber passengers on flights to San Diego.
It's not easy to organize something like this.
It isn't, but the crazy day is worth it to give Snap, Crackle, Pop, and Lucy Lou a chance in California, making room for someone else to have a better life in Texas. With photojournalist Adam Hilberry, Joe Little, 10 News.
On the outside, it looks like a porta potty, but on the inside, it's actually a tiny home. I'm Steve Atkinson, and I'll tell you about one man's vision to try and solve the homeless problem and quite possibly create a whole new housing trend for the future.
Tonight on 10 News at 11.
New tonight, take a look at this, and what do you see? Most would say a porta potty, but the Southern California man sees a solution to curb our homeless problem. How? By turning this portable toilet into a tiny home. Here, in this warehouse, an artist collective south of downtown Los Angeles.
It's always impressive to see that, those elements of counterculture popping up.
Sits what may be one of the most unlikely ideas to end homelessness.
I call it the Porta Home.
That's TK Devine, creator of the tiny toilet home. And before you laugh, just give it a listen.
I don't think it's for everybody. I think there are folks out there, though, that will see this in action and might start to think about applying it to their own lives.
Still not convinced?
Cool.
Let's take a look inside. There's a mini kitchen.
Portable stove here that I can set up.
A small fridge powered by the sun.
Now, we will have solar panels on the roof of this.
Shelving, a nightstand. Out back, a separate gray water toilet and shower.
and of course, a bed. And if you just so happen to have guests,
It was intended to be built for two.
still think it's absurd? Well, consider the number of homeless in San Diego County is over 9,000. With the average rent well over $2,000 a month, that number is likely to grow. But where do you put these tiny porta homes? Divine found the answer just driving around L.A.
What I saw is an abundance of available residential space in LA.
His vision is to utilize abandoned, dilapidated lots and backyards of homeowners willing to share their own space for these temporary houses on wheels.
Converting a space like this into something that's almost completely independent is something that I think a lot of landowners and homeowners can accept on their property.
And to prove it can work,
you're actually going to live in this for a year and then travel around Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm going to be the resident full-time for a year. The idea is that I want to model this behavior for other folks to prove that it works.
In custody, booked, handcuffed, then this.
Getting hit from all directions.
Slammed, punched, and kneed, all on video.
You're really hurting me badly. Please stop.
Team 10 investigates a full story behind this violent San Diego jailhouse video. Tonight on 10 News at 6.
It starts with a violent takedown, followed by knees to the body and the head area, closed fist punches to the face. This video given to Team 10 was taken in what's known as the Sally Port at San Diego Central Jail. The video shows San Diego County deputies dishing out the body blows. The man taking them, Joshua Strode.
I kept on trying to tell him, you're really hurting me badly. Please stop.
While this scene ended with Strode laid out on a stretcher, spit mask over his face, the day began much different.
I was actually on the street right next to SDSU. Okay. And the cops roll on us.
San Diego State Police arrested Strode earlier that day for being drunk in public and hauled him off to jail. That's where this video begins. You can see Strode handcuffed up against a wall.
The officer was helping me keep my pants up because they took my belt.
Fast forward about a minute. It looks like the officer starts to take the handcuffs off. We can't hear what's being said, but a door opens and a deputy enters the picture. According to a San Diego County Sheriff's Department officer report obtained by Team 10, the deputy claims he observed Strode yelling incoherently and had erratic movements of his body.
He says, put your hands behind your back. I say, I can't. My clavicle is broken, and before he could even finish that sentence, next thing you know, it's just violence.
Strode's thrown to the floor. More deputies rush in.
From popping pills to heroin to the morgue.
So many people are here earlier than they should be.
Opioid deaths inside San Diego morgues.
It's like playing with a loaded gun.
Why we're seeing record levels. Tonight at 11 on 10 News.
You might wake up in the morning and be like, I almost died last night. But here we go again.
He grew up in an affluent neighborhood in San Diego's North County. He said, like most everyone in his group of friends, he started using drugs at 14. Over time, he was too spun out to get out.
I went to a different treatment center, and I was loaded within 3 days after leaving that place.
Loaded, numb, disconnected to everything around him.
And I know people who have held people in their arms while they've died of an overdose, and they're shooting dope the next day.
Opiate overdoses are now the #1 reason for unintentional deaths in the U.S.
You go to sleep and you don't wake up.
San Diego County's chief medical examiner, Dr. Glenn Wagner, gives me an exclusive look inside his world.
It doesn't take much for some combination, either in excess or in combination with alcohol, to guarantee you a premature visit to this place.
MTS bus doors smacking riders.
Oh, jackknife. You know what jackknife means.
She says she was seriously hurt and is now warning others.
It didn't just get my elbow, it got my whole body.
Team 10 investigates the hundreds of MTS bus door incidents. Tonight on 10 News at 6.
The bus comes just around the corner here.
Nancy Cascaden says she hasn't owned a car in nearly 2 decades. Her mode of transportation, the bus. It helps her get around town and to see her family.
Drivers are very cordial. They're very helpful.
Nancy can't say similarly kind words about the bus doors. She gave us this video showing her getting on an MTS bus near 54th and University last July. Watch as the door opens, then swings back toward her, hitting Nancy in the arm.
It decides it's going to shut. And it just goes boom, jackknife.
On the video, you can hear the driver say, I don't know why it does that.
It doesn't open all the way. No, it starts to shut. Oh. It was so painful, I felt nauseated. I was just, oh my.
Nancy filed a claim with MTS. The transit agency rejected that claim, saying her loss was not the result of any negligence on the part of MTS. But they did offer her a year-long bus pass in exchange for a signed release of all claims.
I'm thinking, right, whose good gesture?
K-9 takedowns caught on police body cams. And this incident cost San Diego taxpayers hundreds of thousands.
These guys, they did just about everything wrong.
Team 10 investigates SDPD, asking, are the police dogs worth the expense? Tonight at 11.
Put one on, put one on.
The moment the San Diego Police Department's K-9 officer took down Eduardo Rodriguez is the moment attorney Brody McBride believes this mental health call response went from bad to worse.
You know, these guys, they did just about everything wrong.
McBride is Rodriguez's attorney. He said Rodriguez's wife called the police department's non-emergency line requesting help from the Psychiatric Emergency Response Team, or PERT. Instead, 2 officers showed up, not members of the PERT team.
Sir? Wait. What? What's going on here?
Get on the ground now! McBride says after a few minutes of back and forth pulling between Rodriguez and the officers, the K-9 unit arrived. The officers let go of Rodriguez, and the police dog was released.
This is how these officers respond to this. I find that just inexcusable.
When weather becomes the big story, watch for the 10 News Breaking Weather Alert.
We've got another powerful storm that is on us.
We already have a problem every single time.
Rain and wind.
Here's what's happening right now.
10 News, Weather Rate Certified, San Diego's most accurate forecast.
There's the atmospheric river. Farther up to the north, it's an all-day event. For us, though, we're going to be zooming in, and we're going to talk about 6, 7 o'clock right along the coastline. That rain is going to really start to pick up. If you're at the coast, if you live along the coastline, I would suggest getting home and off the roads before 6 p.m. tomorrow. If you're in the inland areas, I suggest getting home and off the roads. Don't go to dinner. I know it's Friday night. Cancel your plans. Schedule them for Saturday or Sunday. Get off the roads and be home by 7, 8 o'clock because this rain is coming. Look at this, 8:30. Look at that solid line of red. That's what's going to be pushing through. That's when our best chance for thunderstorms is going to be.
The worst storm of the season, pounding San Diego right now.
With those strong winds sending this tree crashing down, slicing that home in half.
But we begin with breaking news. This is on the southbound 15. One person dead when a car hydroplanes across the freeway. Brian Schlonsky just got updated on that situation unfolding right now in Mira Mesa. Brian.
Yeah, Steve, and I take it you see this live picture coming in from the 10 News breaking news tracker just approaching this. This is on the 15 South right at Mira Mesa. We now know this storm has killed somebody here in San Diego. Multiple cars involved in this. 3 people also in the hospital. Here's what happened. We're hearing that one of those cars hydroplaned across the freeway.
So this happened about 3 this afternoon. This is the branch that just crashed through the roof. The residents here say that their neighbor's tree fell over, and that's when the branch cracked off and went inside the home. If we take a look at some video now, we can see that tree that's behind in the backyard, actually. It's a huge tree. It just came on over. Luckily, no one was inside the home. Again, the homeowner in total disbelief when this happened.
Now, severe thunderstorm warning is our hot topic right now because this is going to create a lot of problems. So we'll continue through 6:45 for much of the county, from Encinitas all the way down to San Diego, extending into Poway, El Cajon. And this is where we're seeing some steady heavy rain right now, but we're still waiting for the next batch of heavier rainfall to move through. And when you see these bands of darker colors, there could be rainfall at about 1 inch per hour. Also, very strong damaging winds associated with that line of storms as it moves closer to the county. So this is going to be impacting pretty much everyone. Already making its way into San Clemente, but eventually it's going to be over Oceanside, most likely within the next 15 minutes. The track is going to be targeting everyone throughout the county. So this is not just north or south. This is everyone.
San Diego has always been my home. I was raised here. I went to school here. I played soccer here. I went to the beaches during the summer, and I'm so lucky to be living and working here. My class used to be over there. Becoming a meteorologist was my best choice, and getting to work here with all the microclimates of San Diego is a dream come true. We are seeing a little bit of rain. I feel really lucky to be able to forecast here and live here and experience all of it with you.
We love this city. We love where we live. We're privileged to live here, not just because of the 72 and sunny weather that we see in San Diego all the time, but this is home. We passionately stand up for the people of San Diego. We're members of this community just like you are. We have children who go to the schools here.
I will eat them anywhere.
San Diego's home, and I try to cover the stories that matter to us in an honest and balanced way.
Happening today, the San Diego Police Department.
This is our home, and we're proud of San Diego.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Ready for some books?
Oh yeah.
Let's read.
Yeah, we went to a group of second graders and they were amazing.
Did you see their faces?
I do not like them here or there. I do not like them anywhere.
It's a good way to celebrate Dr. Seuss's birthday with not only reading to them, but having them read with us.
And probably the most classic Dr. Seuss book there is, Green Eggs and Ham, you know?
I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam.
You know, you look at their faces, they were beaming, and I think they were really thrilled just to have adults come in and share something with them.
And we're big kids too. We still love all these books. And being in class again, it's like being in second grade all over again.
Did you see the little chairs?
I do not like them, Sam. I am. You guys are so good.
Yeah. It never gets old, huh? Going to these classes and reading to
Never.
these kids, yeah.
I'm going to one next week.
There's nothing like spending a day on San Diego Bay. Enjoy the view with me by walking in the Live Well San Diego 5K. Every person who walks supports the San Diego Blood Bank and helps people such as...
She was about 2 weeks old when I found out she had sickle cell disease. Please come out and donate, not just for Selena, but for other children with different diseases going on who need blood. It is very, very important that you come out and donate. It saves lives and it helps.
Register to walk or run. Visit 10news.com today.
Long story short, we ended up taking him to the hospital and we found out that his white blood count was exceedingly high and that his blood panel was consistent with someone that had leukemia. That was on July 14th of 2016, 3 days after he turned 4. No matter what, when you have a kid and you bring a kid into the world and you look at that baby and you have all these hopes and dreams for them, and you just never expect that anything that can ever happen to your kid that you can't control. And this by far has been the worst thing that's ever happened. I'm sorry. He hangs in there with that stuff. I mean, like right here, he gets his chemo with a superhero mask on. When it comes to them telling you, hey, right now your kid's getting hooked up and they need blood. What do you mean? What do I do? No, hold on. We've got to go down, or we've got to have a blood order on tap, and it's just a lot of complex stuff. And we are absolutely very thankful for people that care enough or have the ability to donate blood, because if they didn't, my baby just wouldn't be here. Like, and that's the God honest truth.
We got the diagnosis of girl, really excited. In the next breath, the technician said, I'm gonna get the doctor. Okay, not what you anticipate hearing when you're gonna find out if it's boy or girl. The doctor came in and the doctor said, I need to tell you that your baby has spina bifida. And we started crying.
Christopher's coming.
I see you.
So she was a teeny tiny little just bean in my tummy, and her spinal cord was already growing outside of her back. And then a cyst forms over the spinal cord to protect it.
When 10 News and Feeding San Diego partner up to help end hunger, we bring a little San Diego style. The annual month of a Million Meals donation drive is back. You never know who will answer the line.
What's your name, your full name?
Phones open from 4 to 8. Watch today, only on 10 News.
A service that cared enough about me to provide that for me, knowing that when I came in, I would leave with a lot of really healthy food that I really appreciated. And to me, it wasn't just food, it was like, you saw what we had here. It was special food. It made me feel good. It made me feel good about myself. It made me feel good about what I was providing for myself and the opportunity that it presented. I know what it did for me. I know what it did for me, and if there's any way possible I can do that or help do that with one other person, I'm there.
It's emotional.
Yeah. It's transformational.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, San Diego.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping us
in the fight to end hunger in San Diego.
Together, we raised over 3 million meals for San Diegans in need.
Thank you, San Diego!
Right now on 10 News at 11.
A devastating and massive wildfire in the North County. The Lilac Fire burning thousands of acres.
The battle is far from over. Firefighters face a second all-nighter as they work to gain more control.
Dozens of homes now smoldering in rubble.
It's tough, but we're pulling together as a team.
A woman badly burned while trying to save horses. Tonight, her family talking to 10 News.
In a very real sense, risked her life to save whatever animals she could.
And we're tracking the dangerous, dry, and windy conditions that will ramp back up over the weekend.
10 News begins with breaking news.
Burning orange embers, a stark reality that the threat of the Lilac Fire is not over tonight.
Firefighters have limited time to knock down these flames before the winds kick back up again this weekend. Here is new information just released tonight. The fire is now 15% contained. It remains at 4,100 acres. One firefighter was hurt tonight after being hit by a falling tree. 105 homes and structures have been destroyed. Another 1,500 are still threatened. More than 800 firefighters are working to stop the fire from growing.
10 News has team coverage, stories of narrow escape and heartbreaking loss. So let's begin with 10 News reporter Emily Thode live at UCSD Medical Center, where a woman who tried to save those horses from the fire is now in critical condition. Emily.
Yeah, Martine Balok is here at UCSD Medical Center in the burn unit, fighting for her life. Her family tells me the next few days are going to be touch and go.
In a very real sense, risked her life to save whatever animals she could.
Pierre and Martine Belloc, racehorse trainers for 40 years. Colin Hanks is their son-in-law.
Wonderful grandparents, have an immense love for animals, and it's a very sad day.
Thursday, the Lilac Fire engulfed the San Luis Rey Down in Bonsall. On site, 480 racehorses.
From what Pierre was telling me last night, that it happened very quickly and it took off in a very scary way.
He says Pierre and Martine were in different areas trying to rescue horses. The couple owned 6 there.
Pierre was telling me that part of the problem is the horses' safe area is their stable, and that's what they go to when they're afraid. And so it was it's a catastrophe, really.
The stables filled with highly flammable hay and wood chips. Martine trying to get the horses out.
It's like they're children, really, and sadly, some of the horses that Martine was trying to save, they didn't make it.
Martine taken to the hospital by helicopter, badly burned in critical condition.
Really, thoughts and prayers are really welcome at the moment. She's extremely critical condition. She has more than 50% of her body burned.
3 of the Bellocs horses died in the fire. So did more than 20 other horses here. Colin says physically Pierre is okay. Emotionally, not so.
Martine really needs some prayers and thoughts at the moment.
Yeah, she really does. And there are 2 fundraisers for victims of the Lilac Fire through San Luis Rey. You can find links to those fundraisers on our website, 10news.com, and look under Martine's story. I'm live at UCSD Medical Center in Hillcrest. Emily Thode.
Emily, thank you. Sending the entire family good thoughts tonight. We continue our team coverage with the heroic efforts to stop the spread of the fire before those strong Santa Ana winds return. Our 10 News reporter Anthony Murrow is in Bonsall tonight, where firefighters are using everything in the arsenal to save homes and lives.
We're at the western lines of the fire front, and there are so many devastating images tonight. You can see this pile of debris here. This used to be a home. It's smoldering tonight, and over there you can see some flames. There is still a long night ahead for firefighters. The Lilac Fire leaving a terrible mess tonight. Near the racetrack in Bonsall, a helicopter dropping 2,000 gallons of water, hitting a football field worth of manure and horse bedding that would take months to burn out. Firefighters working to extinguish it all at once. The massive flames are gone along Olive Hill Road north of the 76, but the scorched landscape still unsafe for families to return. Firefighters driving all over the area tonight looking for hot spots, and this is what they're looking for. Even small flames like this have the potential to turn into something bigger. Along the 76 corridor, an inmate fire crew combing through scorched, rugged terrain with shovels and chainsaws, looking for smoldering spots.
We're having flare-ups here and there every time the wind kicks up.
Independent contractors like this guy helping to finish the job. This is the second time this burnt home has flared up today. The second time he's spraying it down.
Right now we're stretched very thin, so it's all hands on deck, and everybody's doing what we can to get this thing done and buttoned up.
In Bonsall, Anthony Pura, 10 News.
That's just a peek of the work that they have ahead of them. Those firefighters have been out there for hours, very fatigued. We're going to check in now with meteorologist Angelica Campos, because it's the winds that have caused all of this in the first place. They're dangerous, dry, windy conditions, and they're coming back this weekend.
That's right. Just like Anthony said, a small flame like that could turn into something much bigger, and that is a scenario that we have in place for this weekend. So let me show you what's in store, because we still have a red flag warning in effect from pretty much all over Southern California, and that is going to remain in effect until Sunday. Conditions right now are ideal. If they can get a handle on all of those flare-ups tonight, it's going to be especially needed. The winds are light, averaging 3 miles per hour, almost no wind out there. But here's the problem. As we go into the overnight hours, still no wind, or just a little bit of wind. But as we go into tomorrow morning, that wind is going to start kicking up around 9 and 11 o'clock in the morning. Dangerous conditions are expected to begin tomorrow, and I am expecting the winds to be even stronger on Sunday. That's when we're expecting the most dangerous conditions this weekend. I'll pinpoint how much stronger the winds will get, and also what other dangers besides fire are expected this weekend.
We'll check back in. A San Diego man found himself face to face with the flames, and he barely made it out alive. 10 News reporter Bree Steffen talked to him about the close call with the lilac fire that destroyed his car and his livelihood.
There are roadblocks all over this area now, but one San Diego man found himself right in the middle of the lilac fire right when it first broke out.
What's hard is that this isn't the first time that I've been out on a brush fire. This isn't my first brush fire.
Anthony is used to being close to danger.
I've always shot news.
He's a photographer in San Diego County.
I work for On-Scene TV.
But Thursday was the first time he was ever scared for his life. He was here near West Lilac Road when the wildfire started.
Initially, I drove all the way up to that house, and I banged on the door to see if anybody was home. And as I was coming down, I saw this house start to catch on fire. And then the house over here started to catch on fire.
His car got stuck when he tried to leave, forcing him to make a life-saving split-second decision.
All of a sudden, I couldn't see anything. It was like I couldn't see the front of my hood. It was just gray and orange, and I could feel the heat coming through my window, and I was like, nope, time to leave. It went from, this is bad, to I have to go, like right now, to survive.
In his race for safety, a good Samaritan scooped him up.
This guy who I've never met before, his name's Blake, in the most calm voice ever, how can I help you? Like, get into my car, like let me, let's get out of here. How can I help? And I later find out that this man lost his entire house.
The fire destroyed Anthony's car seconds later, along with all his equipment, thousands of dollars worth.
I have one radio and my press pass.
But like many other people who are trying to figure out how to replace the things that the fire took from them, Anthony says he won't give up his passion.
Oh yeah, I'm still gonna do this. I've worked too hard at it. It's what I do.
Anthony says the only thing salvageable from his car was a Bible. Even his fire gear was destroyed. Bree Steffen, 10 News.
Selling sign right there. Thank you, Bree. Now to a piece of video that could offer clues as to how this wildfire ignited. It shows the moments just after it began. Our 10 News anchor Brian Schlonsky spoke to a retired fire captain about what investigators may learn from this piece of video.
Yeah, guys, CAL FIRE didn't even have this video until we gave it to them. Now they are looking at it closely. The Lilac Fire has now charred more than 4,000 acres, but this video shows the moments shortly after it began.
That's a pretty standard fire attack on a fire like that.
Retired Fire Captain Bob Lyon breaks down for us the CAL FIRE approach. 3 units working to flank it from both directions. He says following a cardinal rule of firefighting, to never go downhill to fight a fire.
The way that fire's running from the freeway, they're going to be on the right flank of the fire, and you can see them getting off the rigs. They're getting their equipment ready.
He says firefighters can tell by the smoke it's moving west. He says they can also tell they need more help, and fast.
It looks like an initial attack, and that's about all they can do. They don't have anywhere near enough water at that point to try to, put that thing out.
As for what caused the Lilac Fire, that is still under investigation. But with so many witnesses and traffic moving so fast on the 15, Lyon says it was likely just an accident.
Could be, something dragging on the side of a car or a truck that sparked. Something came off of a car, that piece of metal or something.
And just minutes ago, we actually talked to a guy who took this video. He says it was a pretty crazy experience. Take a listen.
I was coming from Temecula, just going down for a medical appointment, and seeing it over to the right side, and looked like they were starting to block off the 2 lanes, and so started moving to the left. I will say one thing, I felt the smoke.
It's a wild video. Brian Schlonsky, 10 News.
The Thomas Fire continues to wreak havoc in Ventura County. We're bringing you up-to-the-minute coverage as the first fire-related death is confirmed.
A double-decker bus crash in San Francisco brings a major freeway to a standstill. The actions first responders took to save nearly 30 passengers.
Rival Comic-Con conventions collide. The trademark dispute that saw San Diego grab a big win from Salt Lake City. 10 News is back in 90 seconds.
And welcome back to 10 News. We have an update on the other fire, this one, the big one, the Thomas Fire burning in Ventura. Right now burning more than 143,000 acres. I want you to take a look at this because this was what it looked like, the burn zone, just one day after it started. And now Friday, take a look at that, burning a much larger area there in Ventura. Take a look at this video now, too. We have live pictures. This is the fire burning right now. It flared up again today. Right now is 10% contained. The good news, some evacuation orders were lifted today, but already this massive wildfire has destroyed 401 structures, including 154 homes, and that is just in Ventura alone. At this point, it doesn't look like it's losing steam. Brian Schlonsky, 10 News.
Carpinteria to Fillmore is almost unbelievable. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Also, just to the north of us, firefighters are battling 3 other fires. The Creek Fire near Sylmar has burned more than 15,000 acres. It's 70% contained. It broke out Tuesday morning and 7 firefighters were injured. 33 homes were destroyed. Also, since Tuesday, the Rye Fire in the Santa Clarita area has burned more than 6,000 acres. That's now 50% contained. Evacuations there have been lifted. And there's the Bel Air area. The Skirball Fire started Wednesday. That's burned 475 acres. At last check, CAL FIRE says that's 30% contained. At least 6 houses were destroyed. 12 others were damaged.
I'm 10 News reporter Steve Fiorina in Fallbrook, where much of the Rancho Montserrat Country Club mobile home estates looks like this. At least 65 homeowners will have nothing to return to but rubble.
It's sad. It's all the neighbors, all the people that you know.
Your next door neighbor was.
Yeah, he just bought this. It was just completely restored and remodeled, and he just bought it last month.
Not just worries about lost property. A 93-year-old man who had evacuated was reported missing for a time, but neighbors found him and deputies reunited him with his wife. So not all bad news here. In Fallbrook, Steve Fiorina, 10 News.
I'm Jennifer Kastner in Vista, where this afternoon there were long lines of cars and trucks full of evacuees backed up on Gopher Canyon Road. They'd been waiting for several hours to go back home. They were tired, angry, and fed up, telling us there was no reason why they should be kept out. When SDG&E had turned the power back on, there was no smoke, there were no flames. Some people started walking home.
Extremely frustrating.
It's been a long 3 hours.
This is crazy.
How long would that walk be?
About 7 miles.
You're willing to walk 7 miles right now to get home?
Yes, ma'am.
And at about 6 o'clock this evening, law enforcement finally reopened the roadway. Jennifer Kastner, 10 News.
We do want to let you know where those evacuation orders have been lifted. You're looking now at the latest map from CAL FIRE. People can return to the areas outside the blue line, but any neighborhoods inside the blue line are still off limits. This includes areas along the 15 freeway. We've posted which streets have reopened on 10news.com.
San Diegans and local businesses are stepping in to help the lilac fire victims. The San Diego Humane Society is offering animal assistance. Facebook has activated a check-in safe alert for those in the lilac fire zone. YMCA facilities in the county are also open to help parents with child care. And the Birch Aquarium in La Jolla is also offering complimentary admission to victims who might need a break. Lyft and Uber, they're also offering free rides. For Lyft, you can use the code KEEPSDSAFE until Tuesday. Uber users can use the code SoCalSafe.
Things were a lot calmer in Bonsall today. Firefighters from Sacramento were putting out the hot spots in the damaged neighborhood. And we got these shots for the Holsizers as they waited outside the evacuation area. Mike and Tammy's home, boat, and car were all destroyed. However, a few things made it through, like their vegetable garden and even Big Red.
Look at her.
That is one tough old bird right there.
Look, your buddy. You love old Red.
The Holsizers know that they are very thankful that not everything was lost. They had an incredible attitude saying, quote, things could be worse.
Weather8 certified San Diego's most accurate forecast. This is 10 News Pinpoint Weather.
Always a silver lining in many of these stories that we see, and that shows us there's a light at the end of the tunnel for some of these stories.
It's encouraging for all of us to hear that.
It is just, I think you said earlier, it's a state of mind to be grateful. And well, we certainly are grateful today that the winds were able to slow down and help the fight. And as we tackle this lilac fire into the overnight hours, the winds will stay nice and light, and this is ideal. It would be even better if we were able to keep that going into the weekend, but sadly that is not going to be the case. Temperatures right now at 60 degrees in San Diego. The winds coming out of the south-southwest at 6 miles per hour. So here's where we stand as we go into the weekend. Today, our threat was right around that moderate mark. Then we go back to major on Saturday. Sunday, it goes back to extreme conditions. What that means to you is that both of these days, which means the weekend, if there were a flame out there, the winds would turn that into a much bigger fire, just like we saw yesterday. So we have to avoid that and hopefully maintain what we have already accomplished today. A high wind warning in effect through 4 o'clock on Sunday. And what that means to you is that the winds will be capable of bringing down trees and power lines. So once again, we're talking about wind damage as we go into the weekend. A red flag warning in effect through 8 o'clock. So the fire danger goes all the way through Sunday evening. A red flag warning will include winds between 25 to 35 miles an hour, gusts between 40 and 55. Some localized areas could see winds as high as 55 to 65 miles per hour. The threshold for wind damage is 45. Once you go above that, then you can start seeing those trees and power lines coming down. And we saw that clearly yesterday, and it could happen again this weekend. Overnight temperatures will stay in the 50s at the coast, warming up close to 80 degrees by tomorrow. Inland areas will be falling down into the 40s, 80s as we get closer to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. In our 10 News Pinpoint 7-day forecast, sunny, windy, and very dry into the weekend. I know a lot of people saying it feels very staticky out there. Is because it is so dry. Inland areas close to 80 degrees, but all the way through next week, that offshore flow is going to continue as we go into next week. But the good news, at least heading into Monday and Tuesday, is that the winds are not going to be as powerful as they will be over the weekend. So but it's still going to be mild.
Got to make it through Sunday.
By the weekend, yes. Well, San Diego Comic-Con awarded $20,000, the battle in court with a rival convention.
All right, breaking news. A double-decker bus rolled over on Highway 101 in San Francisco. CHP says at least 4 people have major injuries. Right now, 3 lanes are shut down as crews help the 29 people who were on board. It's unclear what caused the crash.
Another earthquake just outside Julian tonight. A 3.1 quake hit about 7 o'clock this evening, and this comes after a series of earthquakes were reported near Julian on Wednesday. There are no reports of any injuries.
A jury sided with San Diego Comic-Con in a court battle with a rival pop culture convention. They decided that Salt Lake City used the trademark Comic-Con phrase without permission. The San Diego convention was awarded $20,000. That's far less than the $12 million they were asking for. The co-founder in Utah plans to appeal now. All right, the Padres, they do lose out on the Japanese superstar who has been compared to Babe Ruth.
We were hoping. Coming up, why Shohei Ohtani decided the Angels were the perfect fit.
Tonight's sports report brought to you by Massey Nissan.
Ohtani's suspense is over.
No Ohtani, no Shohei.
No.
Padres fans had the chance to dream over the last week when it appeared Japanese superstar Shohei Ohtani was a favorite to sign here in San Diego. Well, today the bubble has burst. The Japanese Babe Ruth has decided to take his game to Anaheim and sign with the Angels. Apparently, a beautiful West Coast location was one of the deciding factors. Maybe he's never seen San Diego. The Angels and Ohtani will visit Petco Park in mid-August.
To me, it's a great fit. I had the Angels there. I had the Padres right up there, too, because I believe both clubs are in a position to let this young man really try to be able to do 2 things. But this Angel organization right now has put themselves in a position of making huge strides this winter.
Yeah, too bad for the Padres. All right, the Aztecs have 2 more weeks to build their non-conference resume. They play host to Cal tomorrow afternoon. So far, SDSU hasn't fared too well against Pac-12 teams, going 0-2 with losses to Arizona State and Washington State.
We want to get a win over a Pac-12 team, and I think we've got a 2-game win streak on Cal right now. You know, 1 at our place, 1 on a neutral, or at their place in a neutral. So we're looking to, build on that, obviously.
And the Aztecs will close out non-conference play next week when they host Gonzaga. A big win on the road tonight in the CIF state playoffs. Helix gets the 28-13 win over Oaks Christian. The Highlanders will face Folsom next Friday night in Sacramento for the Division I 2A championship. They got a little luck tonight. Reggie Bush was saw it on Twitter. He was on their sideline, kind of giving them tips.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, Reggie gives tips. You listen.
Yeah,
you gotta
absolutely.
listen.
Good state game tomorrow.
Yes.
Thanks, Steve. Have a great night. Jimmy Kimmel Live.